you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast.
Come? Alright, I'll do my own bits myself.
Oh! Oh wait, no silence!
We're doing it! Get off the road!
Ah! Hey Dave.
Yes, Boner.
In case you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of games with Frontier in the name, and whether it goes back to classics like Frontier Elite 2, or more recent ones like Sonic Frontiers, or even Farthest Frontier that came out last month. And pretty much the game industry has decided no more. There's just one game left in development that'll get the name and then nothing else. Star Trek Frontier will be out next year, and it will be the final frontier. Welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
And I'm Dave Man, back here in the studio. Glad to be here. And thank you so much to Joe and Amy of Geek for All for coming in. And apologies to Hideo Kojima for getting bumped for them. Maybe next time we'll have you co-host.
It was a great time. He seemed to take it in stride. He was here mostly for you, but he did just express disappointment in not being able to meet the famous Joe and Amy. So who knows when we'll have them on next time? Hopefully sooner rather than later.
One day, we're gonna run into him, and either someone's gonna have warned him about the crap we give him, knowing his sense of humor and things after listening to some of the podcasts he puts out.
I would just love if we get that sort of huge reach, whatever, and we still just keep doing the. Oh, sorry. Oh, hold on. I gotta sneeze. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Come on. Apparently the answer is no, but maybe. Yeah, if we just get and yeah, people do hear about us a lot, and then he hears, and it's like, oh, oh, it's them.
Well, book me for several weeks of programs and never have me on. But we've got...
Or just runs into us and are you ever actually going to book me?
Dear Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, that's our in right there. Dear person running the Inferior Game Awards show.
No, it's not inferior, because that's them's fighting words. We merely acknowledge what it is.
The less relevant
program to the viewers here on Nerd Glasses Podcast on Insane Games TV. We curtail all of the content on the nerdies to you guys. The nerdier the Game Awards, they have to please a whole bunch of tap dancing people, and I'm sorry for them.
Dave, I'm glad you're back. We're going to spend 50 minutes shooting the shit, and then I'm anyway, here's a Twitch ban. Kai Cenat. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the guy's name right, but he is Twitch's most subscribed streamer at a peak of over 300,000 subs. Was banned yesterday. It's actually his second ban. And while Twitch, of course, doesn't confirm reasons for banning, naturally, most suspect it has something to do with when he took a dirt bike and rode it around indoors. Straight into his streaming setup. For promoting activities that could bring people to harm.
Okay, that's fair, and especially if he didn't spend a whole lot of time disclaimering those actions or...
Yeah, just oh, this is cool. Let me ride this around my living room. Yeah. Come on. I don't know if that's exactly why, but that's what the general consensus is. While I was researching this, I did see where XQC, someone who we should totally pay attention to, spoke up saying that, it couldn't be about that. And then his argument was, well, it was on private property. That's not illegal. Twitch doesn't care if it's legal or not. It cares if it runs afoul of its terms of service.
You streamed it!
Yeah. okay, maybe operating a motor vehicle indoors is not illegal, but it's fucking stupid. And Twitch is well within their rights to be like, you are promoting dangerous behavior, and we don't want to reward that. So boot you go.
As we say almost every week, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Come on, people.
So, but he'll be back. It's it's not a permanent ban. So, unless he's like, oh screw this, I'm going to Kick. But no, he can return to Twitch, so he's not going to go to Kick.
I still, every time you say that, I'm still like, that's not real.
You get a mind wipe every single week and forget that Kick exists. Until
I
I tell
won't
you,
lie.
oh, it's the one where all the people who have been kicked off of Twitch go to. Except, not disrespect yet, when they're finally like, oh, what big streamer is going to... It was, like, mid at best. Facebook gaming, yeah. That, too. I think, does Doc still stream over at YouTube? What's going on with that?
The only thing I can tell you is the last time I saw Doc was actually, he was at the NBA Finals on the court, in the full Doc regalia, for the Golden State Warriors game. And I thought to myself, I was like, look, it's Dr. Disrespect. Oh my God. That guy's so fucking tall.
Do you want to have Steve set that up since it's having an issue here?
Sure.
Steve, can you set up the prediction for us of what we're going to try
Demon
during
Dragon,
the show tonight?
I'm glad I'm not the only one who literally every time, because this weekend, I did see something on, it was like Kick or YouTube, and I literally was like, what the fuck's a Kick?
R.I.P. Mixer. Anyway, that's Twitch ban this week.
By the way, no, let's mention, we are alumnus of Mixer, Nerd Glasses podcast, alumnus of all the major streaming platforms that exist and have existed. We have survived Mixer.
I like the shade where that means that Kick is not a major stream platform, because we are not and have not been on it.
You're paying butt dongle chest cheater guy. I don't know what to say to you. I don't.
Mick Crypto douche.
By the way, we have to get all of that out because the next time we are live here in the studio will be May.
Right. Yeah. So we will talk a little bit more about that during the show tonight.
Yes.
And maybe for next week's show, which we will also make sure that we mention next week's is going to be a special episode. And we'll make sure that we tell you about that later tonight.
What's the third one?
Remove the chips thing and just put popcorn.
Oh, I saw it.
Is that... I saw an interesting popcorn snack a couple of weeks ago, but didn't think to grab it for the show. Steph chided me for not grabbing it for the show. So I hope
I too shall chide thee, sir.
So I hope you have what I think you have.
Probably not, but
Probably not. All right. Dave, what have you got coming out in the next 7 days? What games can we look forward to?
In the next 7 days are games you have certainly seen trailers for, but really, this time they're coming out for realsies, though.
Oh, boy.
No, but seriously.
Duke Nukem Forever.
I still have my copy of that. I won't lie. Every time
Same.
I open my game case and look at it, I think to myself, I worked so damn hard to get you.
I have a copy that was like $52.99 or something that I got used, and it's like, I saw it for $5 half a year later.
So, the first game is actually one that hasn't gotten delayed at all, which is the only one that's coming out. I still think it's a sort of trick, says Love Alec. But this first one, it's coming out for Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X. It is out today for you to play. And these trailers, aforementioned, will be presented this week in trademark still going around, patent pending, Nerd Division! Jen, you have to do the finger thing.
Yes! That's a finger thing! I was trying to get Dave to cuddle me, but getting the audience to participate was more important.
I will cuddle you anytime, on camera or off. This game is called Minecraft Legends. I know what you're thinking. Damn it, another Minecraft thing for the kids. But now, unfortunately, I got to tell you, the kids that grew up playing Minecraft are now in high school and college.
I was going to say high school is young.
We're old.
High schoolers are like, don't old people play Minecraft?
Yep. Yes, we do. This one, interestingly enough, is taking the familiar sandbox Minecraft formula and then plugging it into a just RPG.
Okay.
So you're taking the blocky appearance, this and that and the other. The thing that makes this game for me is the idea that there's still build mechanics, as you've seen in the trailer
so
here.
it's Minecraft Skyrim.
Yes, and very much so, because this game is about the piglings from the Nether are invading the overworld. If I got any of that stuff wrong, apologies. I was a console player when Minecraft was first out, and then I thought to myself, if I'm going to play Minecraft, I'm not going to play the shitty version of it. So this game is specifically denoted as neither fact nor fiction in the Minecraft lore, because it is going to be a generational story, a third-person action, kind of a retelling of things that people online have posted from Minecraft lore and things of that nature.
Okay.
And for me, that's really cool to make a game that, without totally wholesale ripping off player-created content, pays homage to the idea that Minecraft is infinitely more than just a game where you make a stick and then you have a rock and then you have two sticks and this and that and the other. And I'm attaching on to that idea of they're building this lore and they're allowing it to be kind of the players to build it.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of fun to be had and a lot of interesting things ahead. Minecraft Legends coming out for literally everything. Taco Pill knows exactly how you start. You punch the trees yield you the wood. Then I cry to Claire. Claire makes some tools. Then I dig a hole in the ground. I get lost. I get killed. And then Claire tells me she doesn't need me to play anymore. My experience in Minecraft.
I was thinking of asking Dave to play Minecraft during St. Jude. Now I'm not sure if I want to do that.
Oh, you certainly do. I'm a hoot. Because I definitely don't just spawn, make a singular tool, dig a hole in the ground, and then defend that hole with my life.
Quite literally. Over my dead... Oh, how did that happen?
Over my dead body, small, squishy, squeaky green man. You're being a creeper. No, I'm not being a creeper. I'm defending my home from him.
You gotta speak up. Hold on, get closer. I can't hear you.
Hiss at me if you will. I'm seeing what makes you cheer. So, the next game is one that I am so excited about. I quite literally am going to run from our escapade on Friday to the nearest open game shop to get. This is Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp.
Okay.
This is a game where I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, and it starts on December 3rd, 2021. They announced, hey, we're remaking Advance Wars 1 and 2, and we're releasing it on the Switch. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have so much fun. Hey, guys, we're realizing that in April, they're like, hey, the game is not yet ready, so we're delaying it until next year. Well, around March 9th, some things in the world happened. Some events that have to do with warring nations, people shooting at each other, people dying, and countries being generally shitty to each other and ignoring the health of their citizens. That, of course, being the Russia invading Ukraine, and then hilariously, Ukraine beating Russia's big fat ass all over that country. But
You need to warn me when I should be wearing my the Farm Simulator Ukrainian
I
edition
almost
shirt.
brought that shirt, and then I was like, no, I'm going to wait till I actually stream the game to wear that shirt. This Sunday, by the way, DAM314, tune in. But the game, then, Nintendo decided to do a very unusually AAA publisher thing and read the room and went, we're going to hold off on making this game. We're going to not put it out because it's making a very cute presentation of war. And it really doesn't present properly. Also, all of the forces involved are in some way represented in the game in one light or another, and Nintendo really didn't want to be visually taking a stance on it.
It's. I mean, they didn't just cancel the game outright. They're still releasing it, but they're releasing it when it's not quite as timely. So, half marks.
I'm really excited. Included in this game are remade versions of 2001's Advance Wars and 2003's Black Hole Rising. Have you played any of the Advance Wars games?
I've not. They've kind of been on. I'm like, oh man, if those came out when I was like playing stuff like that, I would. But it'd be hard to go back to as they are. They were like Game Boy, right?
Yes, Game Boy Advance and then Game Boy Advance S. I played mine on the SP, but they
Right.
were GBA
Yeah,
titles.
GBA.
They did move the franchise, by the way, for those of you curious, a little bit of fun factoidal history. They did move the franchise forward. They made one other game on the DS in the Advance Wars franchise,
Yep.
but they made it infinitely less cutesy, way more not gory, but they made less glorification of war. The officers were all very scowly and old, whereas a lot of
Yeah.
these characters are very cartoony, things like that. And they also made a different franchise. And of course, the second I start talking about it, I forget the name of it. Steve, do you remember the name of the Wars franchise? Amp and I were literally just talking about it Sunday because he was curious about it. But and then those versions, the spin-offs, came out for Xbox and PlayStation alike. So the franchise has continued since these games, but has never risen to the height of popularity, the visibility.
Battalion Wars.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Amp.
Hi, Amp.
Battalion Wars. So all this said, to a game that I am absolutely going to be having, and by the way, you can play 4-player on one console, and it works out really well.
Nice.
Because you used to have to just literally pass the DS or
GBA,
Game
yeah.
Boy Advance around with your friends, and it worked out swimmingly. There's in the idea of this game, there is fog of war that you can put on so that your friends can't just cheat while you're not
Yeah.
playing and do that. But all sorts of customization options that we will explore in the future when we're actually playing this game. The third one is the most absurd, actually.
Okay,
Of the
before
three.
we dive into the absurdity, note everyone that you've got 20 minutes to vote on what snack we should try. Use your channel points with the prediction down below. Popcorn is out to an early lead, but you guys can change that with your channel points. Dave, hit me with the absurdity.
So, Steve, bring us back to 2014, please.
24. You say 2000 and I expected there's going to be 2 zeros in the middle.
Well, I'm hoping folks remember this particular trailer because
Deep
it
Silver sounds familiar. I don't know what
literally
I've
blew
seen
up
from.
the internet. So actually, the Deep Silver logo is the only part of this particular trailer that has been updated since then.
Okay.
Well, other than the graphics, because this did things, but this trailer played during either the Game Awards or E3 or
That makes me uncomfortable.
what have you.
I'm uncomfortable, Dave.
You should be uncomfortable
Oh,
because
what?
yeah.
I'm continually uncomfortable. Oh, I know what game this is. Okay, I heard about this. This is one of those games, kind of like Duke Nukem Forever, where it started development and then it like shed itself, and then it started development again from scratch, and that like immolated out a window, and then it landed on yet another studio that finally brought it to fruition.
I'm very glad. Would you like to know the exact stats of that, by the way, that breakdown?
Sure. Do you want to say that? Well, when you know the game, type it into chat. But Dave, what
So
what you
this
got?
particular game started around development around 2012 with Jaeger developer until about 2015 when they said there's no progress being made on this, the game is not good, we're taking it out of your hands, and we're giving it to Sumo Digital. From 2016 to 2019, Sumo Digital kind of farted around with it, worked really hard, couldn't meet up with the expectations, and they once again said, we're taking it away from you too. The project is probably canceled, we're not sure. And it wasn't until 2019 when Dam Buster Studio, not affiliated with me, did take it over. They are a product of the developer Deep Silver, got their hands on a product that had been worked on now for over and close to 10 years and 3 studios. This game, of course, we are discussing Dead Island 2.
And we're getting a behind-the-scenes photo right now as I'm looking disgusted at that zombie transformation. Ugh.
This trailer blew me away because it
Dead
looks
Island 1 had
so
a really
much
good
fun.
trailer as well.
Yes.
Like, something about the series, they've just nailed the trailer to the point where, like, Dead Island 1, I love the trailer. I had no actual interest in. Is that the friggin' Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
So what's actually very funny is the character that was reaching out the window, hitting things, by the way, a very familiar voice actor. He's in the hit film for Illumination Studios. He plays a little-known character called Bowser. He, of course, a famous musician from the group Tenacious D. Jack Black is actually in Dead Island 2. They recorded all of his stuff yonder eons ago and have managed to cash cow themselves at the best possible time.
I mean, the best possible time for anything Jack Black has been 2005 to present. Like, he's not...
It's
Like,
that's
it
very
helps.
true.
It helps right now, but, like, so did they record his lines during a previous version of development, and then they're like, all right, we're making a whole new game, but we still have these lines?
Oh, yeah, because I mean, this so it never changed hands of like the ownership. Yes.
I've got bad news.
What?
Well, it's not Jack
What?
Black, but it's the guy who took over the role for Poe in the Kung Fu Panda TV series, who sounds like Jack Black. Mick Winger.
Interesting.
Well, good night, everybody. I don't want this. No, I'm kidding.
Also, not to be the bearer of bad news, Boater, but School of Rock came out in 2003, so the best time to be involved with Jack Black was starting in 2003, not 2000.
I was thinking School of Rock. I didn't know its date. I got within 2 years. I'll
fair,
take it.
fair. You
I'll take it.
you winged it off of it.
We're almost outnumbered by our fact checkers, Dave.
No, that's a very good thing, by the way,
Yes.
folks. I also noticed, by the way, Taco Pill did correct a thing that I said. Although the franchise Advance Wars, in my mind, did appear first for me on the
here in
GBA,
the States.
it did appear on the Famicom first and in many iterations in Japan, but we really didn't get many of those over here, unless, of course, you bought a Famicom and all the games, in which case your uncle does work for Nintendo. Thanks a lot.
That sounds like Rafe. It is, in fact, Rafe Wolf. Say hi, Rafe.
Hi.
No, say hi, Rafe.
I'm really glad.
I
no,
wanted it.
No, I'm really glad that also Boater works really hard on his bits, and either me or Steve or you, we just run straight over some of
Shut
them.
me down.
Do not make me go get another Kit Kat bar and eat it wrong. It's to you.
I think I did that last year as a St. Jude thing. Next donation that comes in of like $10 or more, I'm gonna eat a Kit Kat wrong.
Now, by eat it wrong, you mean just bite it?
Yeah, just
Like-
bite it without breaking it apart. Yeah.
I have some bad news
And,
for
th-
you.
and then I think I gave someone like 5 minutes for someone to outdo that 10, so I would eat it correctly, and that didn't happen, so I ate it wrong.
That's a very nice thing to do, to offer a counter to a catastrophic event. But those are all the games that are coming out in the next 7 days, and those 3 games are coming out in the next 7 days, or your next week of Nerd Glasses will be free
Well,
here
Dave
on
will
Nerd
eat
Glasses.
his hat.
I will eat a hat, gladly.
Maybe not this one, but he owns many hats, so he will eat his hat, just not this one.
Hats.
Maybe that Bud Light hat. No, actually, we
That one
celebrate
was
it right
sponsored.
now. We celebrate it right now. So what have you been up to, good sir? What media have you been consuming?
I found out that most of the planes that I chartered on my San Francisco adventure don't have screens on them, so my free media experience was rather light. However, I did get to catch up on podcasts.
Good.
Some downloaded episode of Boater Plays Something. The Hideo Kojima podcast that I re-downloaded Spotify just to listen to, which is actually very interesting considering that Kojima's dubbed over because his English is not it's just not
Right.
fluent, and it really wouldn't make for a program that's less than 45 minutes.
Okay.
As they try to. I watched a baseball game live and in usual fashion. The team that I was there to support lost horribly. I'll have
When are
more-
they gonna start paying you to stay away?
I don't know, but I am going to start mentioning it that they should definitely keep my wife and I away from Oracle Park. because they do real bad when we're there, and I get real sad about it at the park. But between that, my sister and I and her husband Brian had a really great time doing some raids in the most recent Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet. And I remembered that my brother-in-law, whereas he's like the normal one in our family circles, I suddenly remembered that man played a lot of World of Warcraft. So I realized that because when we were doing the raid things, that man had a war chest of stats already memorized and things like that. So I was like, what creature should I use? And he literally rambles off like 10 of them already. I was like, oh, that's right. You were a WoW guy. So this just comes real natural to you to like know all of these things right off the bat.
Jen's sitting there like a challenger.
That's not a bad thing, because otherwise you get my methodology, which is literally ha ha, like,
Tally ho!
the wall, to the windows, to the walls, to the
spike pits.
to the spike pits and sweat dripping down mine balls. It's not May yet.
Get it out of your system. Get it out of your system.
Oh, I'm gonna be cussing just for funsies tomorrow.
I've been watching Mandalorian. The last episode was a really good one. It is the second to last episode of the season. The last
Nice.
episode comes out tomorrow. And so it's very much like, you know what they got to do. They got to end on like a cliffhanger and is everything going to be okay? And I really like how it's been. There's been some discussion with Mandalorian over like, Grogu has nothing to do. He's not doing anything. I'm trying not to be spoilery. Grogu has nothing to do. He's not doing anything. It's like the Mandalorian, the series, isn't about Grogu anymore. The first 2 seasons were about him.
Yeah.
It's first recovering him and then get him back to the Jedi. Get him to
Absolutely.
his people. Season 3 has shifted focus, and it is very much about the return to Mandalore. That's been the whole arc this season. And people... Like, some people don't know what to do with that shift in focus.
Well, I like just storyline wise, it's here's the fallout of the previous 2 seasons. Like, this is it. Like, actions have consequences, and here they are.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it also fallout of, like, some stuff happening back in, like, Clone Wars. So it's Dave Filoni's doing his thing and tying his stuff together. So, so really enjoying that. I can't wait for the new episode tomorrow. As for playing, Dave, I told you that you would really, really enjoy what I started playing. I started playing Cult of the Lamb.
yeah, Alex gonna be so excited about that too.
Yeah, I just started a couple nights ago, played a little bit more last night, and it's still like I finished off the Darkwood or whatever, and just started on Anura, but it's like, honestly, the reason that I finally made the jump to it was because of a very, very good fan animation called Doom and Shroom that came out a few months ago. I will show that to you after the show, but look it up. It's either called Doom and Shroom or Doom and Shrooms. I want to say it's Doom and Shroom. Look that up. Fantastic Cult of the Lamb fan animation, which finally pushed me into, all right, I'm getting this game. And loving it so far. Loving it.
I'm not surprised about that. Love Alec was the one who actually gave me the game to get me to stream it and things like that. I will warn you that the Twitch integration is still, to this day, incredibly buggy.
I'm playing it on Xbox. I've decided it's not going to be a stream game for me. I'm playing it for myself. I'm playing it on Xbox on my TV upstairs. It's not connected to my
Nice.
streaming anything. Yeah, I made the decision that this is just going to be a me game because it was either that or wait until after Play Live. Yes, the game is rated T, but for Play Live, I'm almost erring towards the side of E with that because just
Well, there is, because all it'll take is one person to object to some of the content matter in it, and then
Yep.
you're in report town and wagging finger daddy and all that stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, fair.
Demon Dragon linking that.
Doom and Shroom, yeah.
Yep, linking that in chat. So thank you very much. If you are watching, go ahead and open that up in another tab, pause it, and feel free to watch it after the show. Actually, you can. It is 7 or 8 minutes. You can watch it during the break between this and the Shack afterward. So that's a good way to cut that out. There's some things in Cult of the Lamb. Yeah, like it's a T-rated game, but it's pushing T enough that I'm not going to do that for St. Jude. So if I wanted to stream it, I would have to wait until after May, and at that point, I'm like, it probably would have been gone. So just get it. And then reading, I finished I'm Not Ready for This by Todd Shimkus, which I've talked about before. I enjoyed it. If you want a look at a community leader kind of trying to lead the city through
Please.
through COVID, while also managing the other half is his mom with Alzheimer's in a nursing home and how restrictive visitation was with nursing homes in New York State during that time. If you're interested in any of that, I do recommend checking that out. That is called I'm Not Ready for This by Todd Shimkus. And I started reading The Lost Watch by J.S. Dews, which is basically the Night Watch from Game of Thrones in space.
Nice.
And I'm like 3 chapters into it.
So, unbeknownst to me, by the way, speaking of books, my sister did this really cool thing for the baby shower where she didn't want things, teddy bears, all the stuff you think about giving baby showers. She wanted books.
Yeah.
To be given, and I really liked that as an idea. By the way, read to your kids if you have kids.
Considering that I have friends who have had baby showers that were at the bookstore, like that's a thing, and like is even if they don't request books, I'm still like, here's a childhood book of mine that is my favorite, and I have found a copy of this out of print book on eBay to give to you here.
Also, it's a one-size-fits-all gift. You don't have to figure out sizes or engendered tunes and things like that. But unbeknownst to me, my wife had actually purchased a copy of How We Stopped the Destroyers for my sister.
Okay.
And
not so much for the baby, but
it is now gifted to her. It is on her desk in San Francisco.
Cool.
And there is a singular copy in a free library on the street out there because I bought one and I stuck it in there, and then I realized I didn't take any pictures of it because I also didn't want to necessarily give away where it is. But there are now at least 2 confirmed copies of your book on the other coast, and hopefully more to be coming. HTML for babies is Taco Pill. Also web design. Very important. Teach your children to make their own websites because then there will be no deepfakes of them. People will know how to dispel those immediately.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Speaking of dumb, I was in San Francisco.
Speaking of dumb, I was in San Francisco. Oh my God! Please keep going.
I did get to see Elon Musk's newest gaffe where he painted the Twitter sign to whatever, and then he got in trouble because it's against the building's lease to alter the signage in a certain way. So we just altered the entire sign so that it could do whatever joke it was. I got to see that. I looked and I went, huh, how dumb. Also, by the way, when I was on my way to the San Francisco Giants game, I drove past Twitch's headquarters, and I, for some reason, and for no context to anybody in the car, amused my wife because I screamed, "I work there!" as I drove past. And the guy was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" I stream on Twitch, this and that and the other, and they were like,
not there, but
no, that's where some of the servers that some of our stuff goes through, possibly. So yes, it's Twitch. We're affiliated on there. They send us things every so often.
It's true, and for that we are eternally grateful to our viewers.
Yes, because it literally does not happen. Because this is live, so we could be talking to nobody, but instead we're talking to you.
We're never not live, except for next week. Shall we talk about next week real quick, and then we'll see how that prediction lands?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So, many thanks to Taco Pill, who got us set up with a couple of people who are opening a gaming cafe in Glens Falls, right on Centennial Circle, called Go Play With Your Food. And we've been talking with them for a bit, and we've already mentioned that we are going to be out of town next Tuesday. We are actually going to be down in Memphis at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for the summit, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But this Friday, we are going to pre-record a show with the owner and manager of Go Play With Your Food. So next week's is going to be couple days out of date. It is not going to be live, but it is still going to be a full episode of Nerd Glasses brought to you from on location with a couple of guests. It's going to be a fantastic show, so just hope that you're here with that. And depending on the time, I'm looking at the I don't know when the latest evening thing is. If we might pop into chat. I don't know.
Let me look at the really cool St. Jude events
there's
thing
an
that they sent us.
Yeah, there's an evening event on Tuesday that last I knew wasn't showing up on the app, so we're not positive. The schedule is still a little bit in flux, but next Tuesday is going to be very lonely in the studio, so please be here in chat so that hang out with Steve in chat, and everyone can make fun of us
Bless you.
while praising our wonderful guests that we're going to have.
That was a moist!
Well, Rigor Mortis, thank you for the 34-month subscription. Skills such as taking a first step, smiling for the first time, and waving bye-bye are developmental milestones for our subscription. Thank you.
Hell yes.
And you just missed the part where I recommended I'm Not Ready for This, which I finished, so.
Hell yeah.
But I know I talked to you about that anyway.
Buy it, meow.
Do it!
Do it. You won't.
I know that you can get it online. You can also get it at Northshire Bookstore, so. Oh! And it's the author's birthday today, so buy a copy.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Okay. We still have a minute and a half left on the predictions. So, Dave, if you want to start off with our news, which we'll then take a break with some snackies,
So,
some schnacks.
our friends over in the world of acquisitions and purchases, a big move was made. And this time it actually didn't involve Microsoft and Sony pissing on each other, and it was a really nice break for me. This week...
I don't understand.
What do you mean?
How could there be an acquisition or merger that's not acrimonious?
You see, because it's one company that people thought were dead buying another company that people probably thought were dead.
Oh, okay.
And that, of course, being our friends at Sega. Yes!
Who were they bought by?
They purchased
With what money? Oh, I bet they had some friends over and dug it out of the couch.
all that Mario money that they made. Actually, Boater, what I'm gonna concern you because I'm gonna use the words Sonic Cinematic Universe. I know, it feels disgusting to say out loud, but now that they have a third film on the way and a television show on Paramount Plus, and one of the other stories for this evening,
Sonic movie.
Taco
money.
Bell,
Yeah,
that's Sonic movie money, baby. Let's give praise where praise is due. They fixed that fucking abomination, and we all bought tickets for it, and it's paid dividends for them.
This is true.
But
Don't get bullied by the internet, but at the same time, listen to your fans. It's a tough line to walk.
yes, but also in particular, Sega, don't maybe necessarily listen to all of your fans. Some of them might need to just stay.
So
on
when they went
DeviantArt,
looting through drawers in their couch and such and came up with the spare change, who did they end up buying?
They for the
I can't even think of a studio that would be like less valued than Sega off the top
for
of my head.
a spare change amount of US dollars, $625 million.
Okay. It's the opposite of our gag during the first Nerdies. Where I would say we had 7 votes and you'd be like, 1,000.
625 million cents. No, $625 million. They bought Rovio, the original creators of Angry Birds, another studio that people probably thought was dead.
I didn't. I assumed that we actually talked about them a month or so ago, 2 months ago, of how they got rid of Angry Birds Classic because it's not continually monetized.
Yes. So they decided to agree to be sold to Sega. And now they are going to be making... What's Sega up to with this? Very simple. And of course, the thing
Angry Hedgehogs.
No, I wish. It's going to be mobile games with Sega IPs.
Yeah, so basically it's just going to be catapult Sonic into some buildings.
Probably, potentially, and upsettingly, just probably that.
Angry woodland creatures.
It'll be very interesting.
You fling Tails and halfway through he just starts flying and floating there. You're like, God damn it, Tails, you can't do anything right.
You launch the Dr. Robotnik egg, it goes in the wrong direction, blows up, and 10 minutes later he comes back and he's like, ah! Chaos Emeralds!
Knuckles would be the only one that would work right.
Yep.
Like that would be the equivalent of the like bigger red bird of just
I'm
right
so
through everything.
happy that you mentioned Knuckles the Echidna.
Sonic Spinball. Hey, yeah, there we go.
Because Paramount Plus is getting into the Sonic Cinematic Universe. I know.
Stop using that word.
I have to pause when I say that because I have to hold the vomit. They're getting a Knuckles TV series because they're not making another movie. They are going to be having Idris Elba voicing Knuckles.
Oh my
the
God.
Echidna in a television show, which, by the way, is already started production in London, and it's going to, by the way, on the timeline because it is a universe. Take place between the Sonic 2 movie and the Sonic 3 movie, which is releasing in December 20th, 2024. Let's all make
I still
sure
haven't watched 2.
we get out there. I haven't either because we didn't go see it. So I was like, well, screw this.
Still, oh my god. I just remember in like November 2020, just the realization that Sonic the Hedgehog would come out the same year. It just broke me.
But so in so many things,
It's the
Sega
N-Knuckles
yet
show.
somehow beat Nintendo to the punch of having a successful film.
Wasn't the N-Knuckles show basically Sonic Boom?
Kind of.
That show was great. Do not desecrate.
That's what I've seen like clips of Sonic Boom and I've enjoyed them.
Oh yeah.
The game I gather was hot garbage, but the show was good.
Yeah.
So here's as long as we're on the topic of such oh, actually, is it snack time?
It is snack time. Folks chose an outcome, and with 100% of the vote, 11.4K channel points. And by the way, guys, thank you for having watched our programs here on Insane Games TV long enough to have a collective 11.4K channel points to throw at things.
Steve hit it already.
Ruiner! But enjoy your channel points because we are going to be eating something that I spotted today at Target because I wander around there fancifully. It is, of course...
What is this?
First of all, Steve! More channel point rewards I've created just for you, and I did make one of them, and I was going to call it What the Dan Doing, where one of us has to just message or scream at Dan about what he's up to. He may not reply in time, by the way, but I still have 101.4K. Oh, don't worry, I'll come up with lots of other ways to waste channel points soon. But this I actually spotted today. Cabot Pepper Jack seasoned cheese popcorn.
Isn't it Kebo? Isn't the T silent? I've actually never heard the brain pronounced.
Well, then I have been at the Cabot factory saying it wrong. Like, is it Cabo?
I have no idea.
C-A-B...
Yes, that's Cabo.
Is it?
Like the cheese company?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Cabo?
The cheese company.
Wow. They really knew I was from New York when I wandered around there, and I was like, wow, Cabot cheese! Okay, good. If More Like Rigor Mortis is putting the T at the end, I feel infinitely less stupid.
I'm not gonna go into More Like Rigor Mortis' various mispronunciations of her own. It's fine. She's not here to defend herself directly in real time.
But I'm here to mispronounce things just to hurt Boder's feelings.
That's true.
You know what? The bag's supposed to be ripped. I'm ripping it, and that means that it can't go home with me because I might like it, might not like it. Would you like a...
Okay, so other than mispronouncing the name of the brand, what is this other than just popcorn? Is it just cheesy
Pepper
popcorn?
Jack seasoned cheese.
Oh, okay.
And it's got pictures of jalapenos on it. Steve, would you be interested in some...
Rafe, you want? Okay, here, grab.
Here, plates. Plates.
Grab.
Let me grab. That's totally fine. God, I'm really happy we're back to this time where we can just share shit.
I was gonna say happy to be Dave's Bar of Intelligence, and then Boder had to be all.
I can't tell if I was being spoken down to in that moment or not, but
We love you, Dave.
we shall move on.
Not bad.
Honestly, for me, I really prefer buttered popcorn. So this
Yeah.
is delicious, but
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not like super special.
got a little bit of the, the pepper jack back of the throat kind of. Oh, okay. Hello.
Too much going on for my taste buds, but for those out there who know, firstly, how to pronounce the name of the goddamn factor.
See, I like this because this basically just tastes like pepper jack cheese, but it's an acceptable way to just eat pepper jack cheese. People are gonna
As opposed to just taking a block of cheese.
gnawing on a block of pepper
I mean-
jack cheese, but they're like, oh, cheese popcorn.
I have some-
That's acceptable.
John, I have some bad news for you. I have been at the now knowing Cabo distribution for another state that's north of here, holding a wedge of cheese, just going, I have been driving for the last 4 hours, and I'm going to eat this goddamn block of cheese.
My post about the cheese drawer.
Yep.
The cheese
Life
drawer.
I lead with the cheese drawer. I'm gone for a day and a half. God knows we're gonna have more cheese in the cheese drawer when I get back. I would rather he have the cheese popcorn.
Okay, so alongside hits like a Virgin, Stairway to Heaven, and hold on, why is this in small print? All I Want for Christmas is hold on. Okay, I was worried it was going to start. Anyway, alongside those songs, this month the Library of Congress will be adding the Super Mario Brothers theme, specifically ground theme, to the National Recording Registry.
Yeah!
Signifying that it finds it to be, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Just because, had a big impact, but also they singled it out for something that worked with the limitations of the hardware that it was on and really, showing the versatility.
We're
Perhaps...
both wrong. It's Cabot.
Cabot.
Not with I'm overpronouncing it, but it's
Cabot.
Cabot.
Okay. Everybody's wrong!
Everybody wins!
Perhaps the most recognizable video game theme in history, Koji Kondo's main motif for the 1985 Nintendo classic Super Mario Bros. Helped establish the game's legendary status and prove that the 5-channel Nintendo Entertainment System sound chip was capable of vast musical complexity and creativity. The game's main theme, or ground theme, is a jaunty, Latin-influenced melody that provides the perfect accompaniment to Mario and Luigi's side-scrolling hijinks. Kondo's score laid the groundwork for an entire generation of chiptune musicians and has been performed by orchestras around the globe, befitting its status as one of the most beloved musical compositions of the last 40 years.
So this theme we're talking about is the da 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 dun 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 dun, right? That one?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm actually not positive. I assume. That's the one that everybody thinks of, yeah.
Let's make DMCA really mad and really quickly.
New t-shirt, everybody's wrong. Disembodied off-screen voice was wrong. I checked their official YouTube, says More Like Rigor Mortis. Dave is right. More Like Rigor Mortis is right.
Don't leave me hanging. Yeah! Don't advertise to me, Jimmy John's. You're not around here. Oh yeah, so this is.
Yep. We're
and
gonna get taken down.
before they come
Nintendo's
after
getting
us.
really Sue happy.
Nintendo's getting really Sue happy, and they finally found out the Weekend Wednesday theme is that Queen song, and they've started getting really pissy about it. By the way, it's a lot funny because I've been using that for years with no issue, and now suddenly they're like, "Hey!"
Wait, Weekend Wednesday?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not the chiptune that Vladdy made. No, that one's still straight under the
Yeah.
radar. Also, Jack White wouldn't be a dick about that. But speaking of people being dicks about things and unfortunate consequences therein,
Hold on, I'm listening. No, just say the brand name. I'm looking for the brand name. I want to hear it.
The first thing they say is, I want to make sure that Cabot is here
Yep.
for when my kids grow. I think the farmers believe that this co-op would not just survive 100 years, but would survive hundreds of years. The first thing they say is, I want to make sure that Cabot is here.
Cabot.
Cabot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bam! I still look like a weirdo eating a big old block of cheese at the place, but still.
All right, hold on. Dave was right.
Without the tea.
I mean, everyone's pronunciations were correct. Like,
Name, though, so I mean,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All of our pronunciations were correct for various ways that you can interpret it for English. That's the fun thing about the language. But then it's a person's name, and it's like, no, that's the correct way to do it. Okay.
So speaking of the correct way to do it, American McGee is warning fans of the Alice franchise. I don't know if you've ever played any of those particular. American McGee's Alice is a video game take on the Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland and then subsequent stories.
Yep.
Through the Looking Glass and such things. But I got all those story titles in order mixed up, and I know that, and I apologize. But
Continue.
they acknowledged and they said, by the way, EA owns the rights to the Alice franchise. We do not. We have pitched Alice 3 and we have been told no, we are not giving up on it. And they use the analogy, but like someone getting hit by a bus, we have accepted that this is what has happened and we have to move on with it.
Interesting. So EA published while they developed, and they want to develop another one, but EA's like, no?
Yes.
Okay.
So they have been trying to make Alice 3 for many years now. They continually got told no. American McGee has now since had to accept and move on. But American McGee went out of their way to say, just so you know, even if you have my blessing to do an Alice-like game, I'm not the one who's going to come after you in the court. It's going to be EA, and they will come after you. Mm-hmm. Having my stamp of approval on it does not protect you from same.
Yeah.
Please make sure to be aware of that fact. And so, once again, another person in the video game industry being very nice to their community and audience, but they did ask that you please stop hassling them about it, because they have to accept this
Gamers,
as much as everybody else.
Why, gamers? Why?
So yeah, it's not American McGee's fault. Your Alice game is getting taken off of Steam. Please stop blaming them. But please also heed their warning that EA owns the license to it, and hassle EA about it.
Yep.
Even, that's not their
that.
words.
Do that.
But we're telling you here on the Nerd Glasses podcast, it's okay to
hassle
hassle
EA.
corporations.
Yep. Yep. Also enjoying seeing the it's okay to pirate Nintendo games that is always morally correct in response to the news of them taking down and issuing like 30 copyright strikes against a guy who made a Breath of the Wild mod and released it for free in advance of Tears of the Kingdom coming out. Like that came out like he released the mod in the last week or so. And Nintendo just brought the hammer down on this guy's YouTube channel. Absolutely destroyed it. Like 30 copyright strikes. If you get 3, you're done. And it's like the mod didn't use any of their proprietary source code. That said, you need to have a modded Switch in order to use it, which is against their EULA for the hardware.
Yes.
So it's I kind of see it, but still just like... Nintendo, why? Why are you like this? You and Disney gotta relax. Okay. Anyway, I didn't even have that written down as a news topic. It's just one I remembered.
I'm so glad, Boater, you mentioned Disney.
Oh.
I'm so glad you backed yourself into this next story, because it's just about that time that we're going to get hypothetical with our stories. It's time to bring out Conspiracy Baseball, because a certain celebrity friend of the program appeared in public. So, ye verin don thine tinfoil hats. It's time to discuss one of our favorite content creators and such things. Would anyone like a tinfoil hat here in the studio? What? Yes, you can. Steve, would you care to man the slideshow?
Do I need to see anything for this?
Ah, yes. There's very important, striking visuals.
No, but I
to be
finally
seen.
figured out how to get it to stay on my head.
I mean, if you want me to paint a picture of words for you, these pictures brought to you in part by Conspiracy Baseball, in part Hideo Kojima's official Instagram, and of course, Nerdvision! Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't help but notice, if you look here on the screens, evidence of a particular maven content creator, a revolutionary in the video game industry, and perpetual guest here on the Nerd Glasses. Sorry we've had to delay you, but we are validating that parking over the years. Dan has approved that. Wearing a particular set of mouse ears. Also, it appears that our maven of industry did in fact enjoy himself some Star Wars time and stuff. The next slides, please.
Hold on, I've seen the first slide already. What's the second? Yep.
Steve kind of
see it in my
dual
glasses.
pictured them.
Okay.
All these pictures lovingly lifted from Hideo Kojima's official Instagram. But as you can see, while Kojima was at Disney Park, he was apprehended by some of the goons of the Disney Park and potentially brought forward to the leadership, as you'll see in the next slides.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Nano!
What?
There was no nano on this slide.
Do high-end celebrities merely go on expensive vacations? Certainly not! For I believe this is the evidence of the return of Hideo Kojima to a Disney intellectual property. Perhaps he was guest directing a future episode of Mandalorian? Perhaps a Metal Gear Solid Mickey Mouse crossover in Kingdom Hearts? We'll know in the future, and he will certainly allude to these things.
Are you done?
Never done, but only excited to then also show these slides and so many things because, by the way, Steve, could you go to that last set of slides that I gave you? It's not evidence in my furthering of the Disney Hideo Kojima storyline. No, that's merely to be discussed later. This is actually just photographic evidence of Death Stranding 2, and I'm really excited to see Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus getting more love and more tap dancing going on. Because when he posts pictures like that, I get really excited and really screamy, and then my wife tells me to quiet down because we're in a rent-controlled apartment. And this and so many things are leading to what could potentially be a Hideo Kojima Disney collaboration, which is why we put on the tinfoil hats, because it could be true, it could be nothing, but I don't firmly believe that celebrities actually go anywhere for any reason other than to make money, rather than spend it. So I believe that this was an intentional move on Kojima's part, a ruse almost, fuel to the fire, like so many of us hounds of justice who sniff around and find every little scrap of evidence we can possibly overblow and scream about on our programs. Lily's News talking about how they are having a great time with Death Stranding, and I'm really excited about that. Really glad to see that someone else has now been indoctrinated into the game that literally lamb chops itself because it never fucking ends. And now there's going to be a second one, so that one will also not end. Like so many things.
Containment breach. There was like a small hole right around my eye. It's bright out here.
The mocap guy looks like Andy Serkis. It may have been. Go to Hideo Kojima's official Instagram to see more pictures of these.
I mean, isn't it Norman Reedus?
I mean, Norman Reedus there, but the person in the mocap suit.
Well, no. Well, he's in a mocap suit on the left too.
Well, yes, but that's Norman Reedus in the mocap suit.
Oh,
this
is that in the
frame,
middle?
And that's that potentially could be Andy Serkis.
Oh, you're right. Well, probably not. I think Circus is a little shorter than that. Anyway,
Looking really forward to seeing what shakes out, and also just another excuse to talk about Death Stranding 2, because it exists, and I'm very happy that it doth exist, because we once again get to see a game developed by a man who doth love his Easter eggs.
over on Steam, Steam user Freedoms117, a Halo reference if you're keeping track, left a review on the game Warlander, advising people how to fully install the anti-cheat software Sentry Anti-Cheat, because it was invasive and not uninstalling even when you uninstalled the game, and seemed to be data sniffing and sending packets off to some IP in Japan. The review got 2,439 upvotes, received several hundred awards, and then Freedoms117 got their account suspended for 30 days. A mod had seen it and thought that it was trying to circumvent the anti-cheat in the game, and because the how to do that also involved getting into your computer's registry, considered it to be harmful spam. So that's one thing. However, all 2,439 people who upvoted it also got 30-day suspensions.
What? How do you fuck it up that bad? That's epic proportional bad. Like,
Yeah, that's
Holy
a
crap.
lot. Eventually, Steam support did remove all of those bans before the 30 days were up. Again, stating that it was a moderator who had overzealously done so, which, you know, okay.
so was it intentional?
Yeah, well, it was a actual moderator that was like, this is harmful, boop. And I think, you know, like, if there's like an actual malicious review and then a bunch of people are upvoting it, it's assumed that they're doing so maliciously as well. I assume that that's the system in place.
Careful what you like on social media.
Steam support said that guide might be better placed as a guide on Steam rather than as a review. Meanwhile, Warlander's publisher said that Sentry Anti-Cheat does not keep running after the game closes, but it looks like it does due to a bug that keeps the icon in the system tray. And also, we have to take their word for it that it does not collect personal information. Sure, buddy.
Sure. And Activision Blizzard optimizes their file sizes. Let's all believe in fairy magic and dust, and lie to ourselves to sleep.
One review massively upvoted because so many people cannot stand that anti-cheat software in addition to how many others. All of them got slapped. Due to a bug, yeah, okay.
So, in a similar vein of things that make you go, huh? As you may know, Nintendo decided to make waves and audience in not supporting the war in Russia, not by social media campaigns and things like that, but rather by being in the boardroom and saying things like, we're not going to renew our contracts currently, we'll approach those in the future. Certain games, such as the remaster of Metroid Prime, did not get distribution in Japan in Russia through Nintendo directly, as you would in any other country that has licensing. Well, Nintendo then found out that the CEO of Nintendo Russia owned the company that was illegally importing Nintendo games into Russia after the embargoes and contracts had ended.
Oh my god!
So Nintendo, in a boardroom moment, had one of those moments
The calls coming from inside the house.
all
Hold
I
up.
can picture is the calls coming from the house, or we finally caught the culprit in a Scooby-Doo moment. They unmasked the guy and went, CEO, this person! So, many different companies reached out to Nintendo about statements about this, and Nintendo, in a very, like politically smart move. We're very key to get in front of it and make sure to answer everyone's questions.
What's that? They paid attention to what people would think about a move that they make? That doesn't sound like Nintendo.
Yes, but I do respect the fact that because it's war, Nintendo's like, let's not fuck around and find out what the court of public opinion thinks what we're doing is on this. As it turns out, they did not fire that CEO. He still has his job as the CEO of Nintendo of Russia. And, by the way, he's still running that import company. Nintendo is taking actions to make sure that that company is following all local legislation from the country that it is currently based in and the countries it is getting product from to make sure that everything is above board. I interpret this as a very sly Nintendo going, because they officially are making sales and are getting copies of games into the hands of players without paying tariffs or things to the country of Russia. Now, that is one very, very optimistic person's opinion.
I could see it.
But they made sure not to phrase it in such a way, but made sure to not say stuff like that in all the pressers and multiple things that they released to. I'm very excited about the idea that Nintendo basically had a Scooby-Doo mystery on their hands and discovered that once again, the call's coming from inside the house, and they turned, and there was the CEO going,
it was Old Man Russian CEO.
like, what? No, that's not my name on all the checks.
Wow.
Speaking of Nintendo, in what will probably be one of our last stories, I don't know if you guys have heard, Illumination Studios put out a little movie recently. It involves a lot of cast members. It's getting a lot of attention.
Yep. Critics haven't liked it too much, but public opinion has generally been in favor of it.
And public opinion voted by making it the most successful video game movie of all time. The competitors that have been in the past were the Rampage movie, which made $428 million. It has to be box office.
Yeah, we're talking
overall.
box office totals.
Detective Pikachu made $433 million. Warcraft made $439 million.
I forgot there was a Warcraft movie.
I also forgot there was a Warcraft movie, and I'm constantly reminded.
Never forgot.
Like,
I'm sorry.
was it good?
So,
Was it passable? Like,
Because, like, it's good. The problem with Warcraft is, like, what story do you make into a movie?
Very
And
true.
If you're not into that particular story, you don't give a shit. Like, frankly, I don't care about Thrall. I think the Illidan movie would have been fucking awesome, but we got the Thrall movie. Sure, fine, that's great. You know, we got the Thrall movie. But I mean, when you think about, you know, like 20 or 30 years of a
Lore.
yeah, absolutely.
you tell the story of, and we just happened to get that one. And it was
Well-
a pretty good movie overall. It wasn't outstanding. It wasn't terrible.
Are there plans to make more?
There were originally, but it didn't make enough. What's the word I'm looking for? Not overseas.
Domestically.
Didn't make enough-
It didn't make enough for them to continue with it. And I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not even 2 or 3 years ago, they unloaded a bunch of props on eBay or like some equivalent site. So it was just real sad because I don't think that we're getting a sequel to that.
Yeah.
But we're hopeful that we get a different Warcraft movie.
But-
especially since like Dragonflight has been extremely well received.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're like, maybe in a couple of years we'll get a different.
It's
Warcraft
kind of like how like League of Legends, you know, Arcane tells a specific story, and there might be more in that story that's told, but they're also not shy about telling other stories in different medium. Whether it's the book that came out recently, the game that just released.
The Katarina webtoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Overwatch, show me more of McCree's ass, okay?
So anyway.
I want more of it. Thank you, Steve. I want some more of that Cassidy ass. Sweet, sweet chaps. But
So anyway, Mario, and then let's wrap it.
this movie made, to date, $692.9 million. And I am really looking forward to seeing, because this movie is not 3 weeks old. So it's still in theaters, it's still in presentations, and they haven't yet started doing that one matinee presentation at 4 o'clock that you're definitely going to be late for, but you're going to buy a ticket anyway.
How
because
does
you haven't
it? I
seen it
wonder
yet.
how it compares to other Illuminations movies, because like that's, as far as like film craft and such of it goes, it's more or less on par with, like everything I hear is that it's on par with that, which is if it's your thing, you will love it. And Nintendo's gonna, pulling you in for a lot more too, but it's not like master film craft, whatever, which is not what you should be looking for from it. Right? Anyway, so I wonder how it compares in like box office totals to those. Despicable Me and such.
I'll speak for me on this regard.
Go ahead.
Kid stuff for kids. Adults, stop rating it like it's for you. Like, damn it, people. Like,
Well, yes, but I mean, like stuff can be made for both.
yes.
And I think
But it was
that's
Illumination Studio, and everybody crapped all over that when it was coming out. They're like, it's a kids movie. Like, doy. Like,
I think people were hoping that it would be more like Detective Pikachu, which can be a kids movie, but also for adults.
oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes.
So, anyway, but the kids' movies raking in the big bucks. So, who knows how this might change what projects get greenlit going forward. Who knows? Anyway, that I think is going to call it. We'll update you if that crosses the 1 billion mark. And of course, we'll update you on so much other stuff and many more news topics besides. So again, make sure that you're back here next week. There will be a pre-recorded edition of the Nerd Glasses podcast. Make sure that you hang out and chat. Keep Steve company. We might be able to pop by chat too. Who knows what things are going to be like.
If the hotel Wi-Fi allows us.
Yes. We end up networking, making a whole bunch of friends, and then being like, watch our podcast with us. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to recording that on Friday. And when we do so, we are also going to talk about St. Jude because that will start after that episode airs.
Because we are recording a full episode of the Nerd Glasses podcast on Friday, Frydave and Yuka Watch 8 are going to be delayed until the future. But we are going to be doing Overwatch Community Night because the new character in Overwatch is a lot of fun, very complicated, and your opinions would be valued in weighing in on it on Friday. So make sure to tune in then.
As far as tonight, make sure that you stick around for The Shack
Yeah.
with Steve, where he's going to be playing more Car Quest and Jedi Fallen Order.
It's a pretty close game to Car Quest. Destruction All-Stars.
Destruction All-Stars. May as well be Car Quest.
By the way, can we all just appreciate that Steve continues to work very hard to follow that games for under $10 rule? He has done it so successfully.
Did you end up finishing Fallen Order?
I did on my own, yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, yes, make sure you stick around for that. In the gap between this show and that show, we go offline, we move things over. Make sure that you watch that Doom and Shroom fan animation for Cult of the Land because it's really good. In the meantime, and then come back here for Steve on The Shack. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I've been Boater.
I've been Dave Mann.
That's been Steve, and that's been Rafe. Thank you, and have a great night.